You're watching SLU-TV, St. Louis University, Channel 22. Now, Brent Carney, Courtney Brown, Kathy Kelly, health reporter John Castelli, lead forecaster Ashley Colchin, and sports director Clayton Bury. This is SLU News 22.
Good evening, SLU. I'm Courtney Brown.
And I'm Brent Carney.
We hope you're all surviving midterms week. Just keep in mind, spring break is right around the corner. Later on in the show, find out how some of your fellow classmates will be spending their week off. And also, if you didn't make it to see Spike Lee, you'll have 3 more chances to hear speakers at SLU this spring. But first, tonight's top story.
Griesedek, Reinert, Ritter, all familiar names to every SLU student. We'll get ready to add another name to that list, Chaifetz. Last week, preeminent neuropsychologist and SLU alumnus Dr. Richard Chaifetz donated $12 million towards the completion of the new on-campus arena, which will now bear his name. The 10,600-seat Chaifetz Arena will make sure that the 1975 alumnus is always remembered as a giver. However, it was a gift that he received that allowed him to graduate from SLU. As a freshman, Dr. Chaifetz was unable to pay his tuition. Broke and without hope, he turned to then University President Father Paul Reinert.
I didn't have the money to pay my tuition. That I was taken by surprise, and I assured him that not only would I pay my tuition, but if he allowed me to stay, since I was a good student and my education meant so much to me, I would pay back the university in some fashion, in some way, because I knew I would be successful in life.
The opportunity to fund the arena allowed Chaifetz to make good on his promise.
When the opportunity came up to be involved with the arena, which meant so much to me as a student here, I attended all the athletic events, basketball, soccer, and we had a hockey team at the time because I didn't have any money to do anything else. It was such a large part of my education and experience, and St. Louis meant so much to me that I jumped on this opportunity.
Chaifetz Arena will provide new academic opportunities too. Just this week, the Doisy College of Science announced a new master's program in sports training that will now be available because of the new facilities at Chaifetz Arena. But best of all, Dr. Chaifetz's donation has given the arena a really cool nickname. We can call it the Shay. And just think how much more fun it will be to say, I'm going to a game at the Shay instead of I'm going to the game at Scott Trade Center. So thank you, Dr. Chaifetz.
If you missed Spike Lee, you have 3 more chances to make up for it this spring. Washington Post reporter Bob Woodward will be here on March 21st. Woodward has been called the best reporter of our generation. Nobel Peace Prize winner Shirin Ebadi is the keynote speaker for Atlas Week on April 12th, and syndicated political columnist Michelle Malkin takes the podium on April 23rd.
Lead forecaster Ashley Colchin is here with us now. Ashley, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
The weather is showing some promise. It's almost spring break, so it's almost starting to feel like spring. Pretty apropos, I guess.
Yeah, but last week it really wasn't showing much promise with all that mix of weather we had.
Well, last week it wasn't March, now it is March, so I
True.
expect nothing but spring from now on.
It is March and we are into spring. Spring is just around the corner. In a couple more weeks, we are into spring. And, you know, Sunday is even daylight savings, so it's just going to be nice weather from here on out. We're not going to see those cold temperatures anymore, down in the 20s and teens that we had all January. But for today, we did have a cold front that moved through early this morning, and it did bring in some really chilly air. And it's kept us pretty chilly with a high of 49. At 10 p.m., we'll see our temperatures at 41. And at 1 a.m., we'll see our temperatures at 39. So for tonight, we'll see a low of 35, but we're going to cool off real slowly. So it's going to be a really nice night. So if you want to get out and do something tonight, tonight's your night.
That is good news, Ashley. Thank you, and we'll see you later in the show. We're looking forward to it. Well, stay tuned, because after the break, we'll introduce a new segment and an exclusive interview that you won't want to miss. Welcome back. This week, we're very excited to introduce a new segment on the show called Beyond Campus. Beyond Campus will aim to take a look at broad social or political issues that go on outside of campus and see how they relate back to people here at SLU. Now, this week, we had a very, very special opportunity to sit down with an interview with Senator Claire McCaskill. Joining us now is our executive producer and the woman who had the interview, Lauren O'Sullivan. Hi, Lauren.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Lauren, where did you get the chance to catch up with Claire McCaskill?
Well, I got the opportunity opportunity to interview her at the College Democrats Convention in Columbia, Missouri.
Now, obviously, huge opportunity. You, a little person from a terrifically television station that's on the rise, but still pretty impressive for you to get an interview with a senator.
The #1 television
I agree
station
with
at
you.
St. Louis
Listen,
University, my friend.
But that's an impressive interview. What were your impressions on Senator McCaskill?
Well, being a DC native myself, I thought she has adjusted to life in Washington quite well. And Senator McCaskill came into office at the same time that President Bush announced his plan to deploy thousands more troops to Iraq. And this is what she had to say about that.
I'm opposed to the president's escalation of the war in Iraq. I campaigned on a strategic and redeployment that we need to move our troops out of Iraq over the next 18 months in order to secure the region. The Taliban is back in Afghanistan. Really, in terms of the threats of terrorism, the threats are coming other places than from Iraq now, and we're not able to deal with that because we're mired down in Iraq in a civil war. I think America has figured this out. The majority of people in Congress have figured this out, but President Bush has not.
Not only are we constantly seeing footage of the war and hearing about thousands of casualties, but now it seems every politician in Washington is either apologizing for their vote on Iraq or coming up with the best plan ever to get our troops out quickly and efficiently. And this is all for what? The White House in 2008. So I asked Senator McCaskill if she thought all the early announcements of candidacy were getting in the way of real work getting done in Washington.
I don't think so. I think this is going to be a very good election for America. We have a lot of candidates. A lot of candidates are going to have enough resources that Americans are going to have a lot of choices on both sides. There are going to be several Republican candidates that have a chance. There are going to be several Democratic candidates that have a chance. And ultimately, I think that provides a stronger nominee for both parties and ultimately a better president.
Well, besides the war in Iraq and the 2008 election, I asked the senator about topics that hit a bit closer to our campus, such as the tuition increase that's effective next semester, if we are lucky enough to afford a next semester. So Senator McCaskill pledges to fulfill her campaign promises to help us out, us poor college kids.
Well, first of all, for the first time in decades, the Republican administration actually cut the money available for higher education in this country. Now, how in the world are we going to talk about globally competing? How are we going to compete in a global marketplace if we are not adequately training the young men and women in America? They are graduating so many more engineers in India and China. So we have got to make affordability of higher education a priority in this country for the future of our nation. This isn't just about kids not having a huge amount of debt when they get out of school, which is also bad and hurts our economy. It's about whether or not we're going to remain the premier nation in the world when it comes to competing for technology, for all the issues that impact our economic future. So it's important. And frankly, there isn't anybody I know, really, that's coming out of college that isn't changing their lifestyles in order to service their student loans. That's not the way it's supposed to be. So we've got to get busy and make sure that higher education is affordable for everybody in America. Well, there's different ways that I've already introduced a bill, co-sponsored a bill, that will give middle-class families a bigger tax cut for college tuition. That would have a huge impact on the ability of kids to get more money from their families for college education so they don't have to rely so much on loans.
Senator McCaskill was once herself a poor college kid right here in Missouri. She leaves us now with some advice for all you political science majors hoping to get a political office one day.
First of all, I was a political science student, so you never know what's going to happen. My undergraduate degree is in political science, so if you're interested, don't just read about it and don't just write about it and don't just take tests about it. Pick a candidate you believe in and get active and try to help them in 08. I think it'll change your perspective about political science, and in the process, you'll help our democracy.
It's clear Senator McCaskill has given a lot of thought to a lot of issues in such a short period of time. I was privileged to have the opportunity to interview her.
Well, we were privileged to have you at the desk. You a short period of time, too, and you've given us a lot of ideas. And also, when you're not sitting here, you are the executive producer, which means you're our boss. So the more you sit here, the better for all of us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Right, exactly.
I did a great job.
Well, spring break is just around the corner, so find out if that means spring weather is coming too.
Your weekly weather forecast is next. Welcome back. Lead forecaster Ashley Colgan is here with us again. Ashley, welcome back. 2 times in one show, just like the old days. It's nice.
Exactly. Now, Ashley, you promised us some great weather for tonight earlier in the show, But I'm wondering, how's the weather going to be the rest of this week? Is it going to be as promising?
Well, last week Brent asked for nice weather, and I'm delivering it this week for him.
Thank you.
I'm there for him this week. It is going to be nice. We are going to see showers on Friday evening into Saturday, but for the rest of this week for midterms, it's just going to be really nice weather, and we're going to see our highs in the 50s. For today, we saw a high of 49 and a low of 27, and we were right in our normals. Our normal is at 51, and our low is at 33. And we didn't have any precip. Currently, we're at 47 degrees. It's overcast, and our humidity's at 46%. Our winds are out of the southeast at 3 miles per hour, and our pressure is holding steady. Right now, this is our satellite view, and we can see that huge system over the Great Lakes that is bringing in lots of snow for them. Now, this next system that we're looking at is this low pressure that's way up there, and this is all the moisture that's being brought in by that system. And that system is going to be moving on down into our area, but for the rest of this week, we are just going to be really nice. And this is our radar view, and you can see that snow up there in the Great Lakes, but the rest of the U.S. was nice. And for today, our temperatures did cool off, and that was due to this cold front down here that has already moved on out of the area. But for tomorrow, we are going to be in this high pressure system, so we're just going to be a really nice day with some warm temperatures. Now, this is our precip for tomorrow, and we're still going to see that snow up near the Great Lakes. But that next pressure system up here in this low system, up here in the North Pacific, is starting to move in, and you can see all that rain associated with it. It is going to slide on down. For tonight at 1 a.m., we're still going to be pretty warm at 39 degrees. We're going to cool off to 35 for tonight. But for tomorrow, we're going to warm back up to 50, and look at some of these temperatures down here. I kind of wish I was down there in the 68 right now. For tonight, we'll see a low of 35 with partly cloudy skies. Our winds out of the east at 3 to 8 miles per hour, and sunrise will be at 6:26 a.m. Now for a 5-day forecast. For Wednesday, we're going to see partly cloudy skies, a high of 50 and a low of 30. For Thursday, we're going to warm up slightly to a high of 53 and a low of 39. And then on Friday, we're going to have partly cloudy skies. Then this new low pressure system, it's just an upper level disturbance, will move in to cause some showers Friday afternoon into the evening with a high of 59 and a low of 40. For Saturday, we'll still see those showers, but I believe they'll have moved out by the afternoon with a high of 55 and a low of 40. And on Sunday, we're going to be really nice with a high of 59. So when spring break starts this weekend, it's just going to be a really nice weekend.
Thank you, Ashley. I promise no more whining from me. I'm saying it on record. No more whining the rest of the year. That sounds beautiful. That's great.
Brent, sounds like you won't have to whine with all this nice weather coming in.
No more complaints. No more complaints.
Well, the March Madness of the NCAA basketball tournament doesn't start until next weekend. But this weekend, St. Louis played host to Arch Madness.
That's right. A big basketball game was played this weekend right here in St. Louis. If you missed it, don't worry. Sports Director Clayton Beery will be here next to catch us up on that game and the rest of the weekend in sports.